Welcome back to another Omni Garage video. So we've had these shelves behind us here, which are the Ryobi hanging storage solutions since the inception of the channel, and we've had a whole bunch of questions about these, but the number one question that we seem to get asked is where can I buy these? And the people asking the questions are from the United States. So that's ramped up to a whole nother level recently because these are now available to be purchased from the Home Depot in the United States. And I believe this unit here behind me is $79 for the one with the door. And there is a slightly cheaper unit which is $69, which doesn't feature a door but has a cool little shelf in it. So we've, as I said, had these since the start of the channel. If you're interested in actually how these get mounted on the wall, there is a video, it's a live stream up on the channel. We'll put that link to that in the description below so you can check that out. But what we wanted to do is just showcase exactly what these were being used for in the garage, some of the features of them, and how we've got them set up to best make use of all of the various features in them. So one of the coolest things about these cabinets, I think, other than the fact that they match the Ryobi tools, which is the ecosystem that Omni Garage are using at the moment, is the fact that obviously we've got a door here which can be pushed up, and you've got a really clean way to store things such as your battery chargers. So inside this one here, we've got the Ryobi charger, we've got the Ego charger, and on the inside of the cabinet here, you should be able to see that you've got a cable routing channel in there. So it means that you don't have to have cables coming down and around. You can route them nicely in there and you can't even see them inside the cabinet. So obviously the way that these are mounted, you do have 4 mounting points inside. So if you want to have a look at that video, that is in the description, but it's really easy. This can simply be pushed up. Not simply pushed up.
Well, I think they've been sitting on the wall for like a year now, so pushing them up, they're well stuck onto those hooks there. So.
They sure are. So I mean, this is really sturdy. I'm putting a bit of force on that. I've obviously got these drilled into, well, there's a bit of wood behind here which is drilled into stud, and then I've just hung a couple of screws.
And I think that's key, you know, if you're going to mount these, you really want to make sure it's nice and secure, because by the time you've got your batteries in there, and some tools hanging from, it's going to be some bit of weight there.
Oh, absolutely, because I mean, I've been storing gallons on top of here, some of the detailing products as well. These are really sturdy the way that they're fixed. So I think recommendation for these is if you can't drill into stud, just put a board behind them, or 2 in the case here, and drill that board into the stud. You should have something across the wall. That's a really easy way to fit it into something like this. And I think this is a really good use case for these. Obviously, it's no replacement for a huge cabinet array in your garage, but I think if you're just wanting to store a few tools, this is a really cool solution. On the cheaper unit, so the unit that costs 69 US dollars, there is an option for a shelf. So if you actually have a look on the inside of the unit here, you've almost got this pegboard-like setup. So it's an adjustable shelf on that cheaper unit. So you simply choose your height and you've got a nice little shelf that you can throw in there. I think that's probably one of the letdowns on this unit here is this is the more expensive one, and while it does have the lockable door, which I find really clean rather than having everything on display, you can't buy that shelf that Ryobi sell in the cheaper unit separately.
Yeah, I would definitely like to have this set up, the one with the door and a shelf, so that you could store a few smaller things along the top there.
Look, even if you look at the difference between these, right? So this is $10 more expensive than the other one, though you get a door for your $10, but you lose a shelf. So even if Ryobi went, hey, look, we're going to charge $15 or $20 for a shelf, I think that that would make the inside of this cabinet so much more usable, because I could have stuff like the drill bits up on a separate shelf in here really nice and tidily. The way I've got it set up, yeah, exactly like that. It's not ideal, the internal storage.
It's almost like that top half of that, or you know, that top half of that shelf is just wasted space.
It is a bit wasted unless you're storing things. I mean, this Ego charger has a bit of height to it, but I mean, I've got all of these smaller tools, you know, these could sit on the top shelf. So one downside to getting this unit, the way that we're using these, I've got this one here pretty much for the chargers. The unit on this side, I have a whole bunch of detailing supplies in. So I've got things like the pads for the Ryobi machine. We've got some ceramic coating in the back, just all of the little bits and bobs.
And this shelf here, this little cubby here is a great example of why you'd want that shelf. Because by the time you've got a few pads on the bottom there,
well, you haven't got much room,
you
right?
can't really stack too much higher. So another shelf there would be really nice.
Yeah, I mean, you can stack like this, but I mean, I want to be able to see what I've got in the cabinet there and have it really easily accessible. So, look, I think the coolest thing about this system is the fact that you've got hanging storage for 4 Ryobi tools. Not every tool will actually hang in here. So I've got a few different bits and pieces here. So we've got an impact wrench and an impact driver. So this is essentially the way that they hang. They just hang by either the battery or the battery attachment there. So you can do them either way. And you can hang 4 tools along each unit. And I think that's the selling point for these. That's why you go and buy this. To be honest, you probably could stack 2 deep. If you only wanted to buy 1 unit, you could go this way. You could get, a total of 8 in there. It's not very clean, so hence why I've got the 2 to go all the way along. But some of the Ryobi tools aren't able to be affixed into the system here. So we've got a radio, we've got a little light. There's no way that these are able to slide in, even if you affix a battery to one of them. So if we get a small battery, there's just no groove to get that stuck in there. I mean, you can try and sit it like that.
So ultimately, this is kind of designed for your drills and things like that, rather than other additional tools. I guess this is, well, it's more designed for drills and tools rather than accessory-based stuff like radios, etc.
Yeah, so you're not going to fit any of the garden tools. I mean, you might get some of the smaller ones like the shearers, but you're not putting, weed eaters, you're not putting edges, any of that type of stuff on here. We tried it with one of the blowers earlier, and I mean that there as well. There's just no way that even if you had a battery on there, there's no way to get this to stick in.
And also you're a bit sort of short on height there, so if you did have your weed eater hanging from there, I mean these are these shelves that are done sort of yay high. The weed eater is a bit taller than that because we tried to fit it in there just before. So I think this is mainly designed for the smaller sort of handheld tools.
Yeah, and I mean there's some of these things, right? You're not going to be able to hang this in. This is a really handy Ryobi tool, by the way. I use this all the time, but you can slot it in. You can just balance it on the shelf in there. The other thing that I've done, because we do have all of the cables routed through here for the sound system and also those chargers, is I've just got a magnetic level here, and I just pop that on the inside, which tidies up a little bit of that cable system. I think makes it a little bit nicer in there. And then obviously you've got the room at the top as well. So the way I generally have this set up in the garage here is I always have a marker sitting behind here. So I know where to find it, but no one else does. Can tuck that away, but generally what I do is have all of the tools just sitting on the top up here, and I mean you can fit a reasonable amount up on the top of the cabinets here, and I think it's a super clean look, especially if you're well within the Ryobi ecosystem. Another thing that I have stored up here in the past is gallons. So as we were talking about earlier, if you affix these well, you're not going to have any issue with weight on top of here, so no issue putting things like this up on top. I think it's a really clean solution, especially when we've got a small wall space here to work with the 2 right next to each other. So there's a really quick overview of Ryobi's current storage solutions that are able to be hung on the wall. So if you're interested in purchasing these in New Zealand and Australia, you can find them at Bunnings. In the United States, they're currently available at Home Depot. But thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more OEM Plus right here on The Omni Garage.